Rowan, the subject of bias, and we've talked about this quite often, here's a marvellous example this week from CNN. Now, I think why I like this one is it perfectly shows how a journalist's bias can make them see the exact opposite of the reality. I mean, it's that bad. I mean, President Donald Trump and his wife on Monday showed off Conan, the hero dog, which helped to track down the terrorist chief of the Islamic State, who then, you know, cornered like a rat, killed himself. Here he is.
So this is Conan, right now probably the world's most famous dog.
But, so they have this opportunity, you know, the president and his wife flanking Conan, the hero dog. But CNN political analyst Jean Walsh said, what you just saw, Rowan, was, in her words, terrifying. Terrifying. Trump and his wife Melania, she claimed, exude coldness to Conan, the hero dog. Melania, whose coat is slightly macabre to me, but others might find it lovely, moves away from Conan multiple times. Rowan, did you see what Joan Walsh claims to have seen? Trump showing coldness to the dog and Melania in hatred and fear moving away from it, rather than what I thought I saw, making sure she didn't get between the cameras and the money shot, the Conan and the handle. His handle.
Well, of course. I mean, this is this so-called Trump derangement syndrome, but it is very real. It infuses, you know, you'd have to say it actually takes over the brains of these journalists, but those that had them to begin with, and infuses in them this absolute loathing of anything to do with Donald Trump and his wife and his extended family and anybody else, so that they automatically are looking for anything in the most negative light. A good reason not to watch CNN, I would have thought. A very good reason not to read The Guardian and other papers like that. Certainly, I find watching the ABC pretty intolerable these days, because you will see the same sort of groupthink come up time and time again, where they automatically paint the world in a very negative light. But in this instance, I mean, there's a number of things here. You're right. Of course, Melania knows where the cameras are. She's had enough experience of standing out there at the front of the White House, knowing to get the right shots and all the rest. So she's just being courteous, if you like, to the dog and moving to the side. But I also think, Andrew, I would also be quite cautious around Conan if I were there. I'm sure the handlers, in fact, this is the dog that quite happily rips the throats out of your average, terrifying jihadist. So I wouldn't automatically, jump in front of Conan and startle Conan. So I would be a little bit cautious. Of course, with all these stories, Andrew, you always look back at the Obama version and you find that Obama, remember Obama and Hillary very excited because they got Osama bin Laden? Well, the dog in that instance was called Cairo, and Cairo had to be muzzled in the White House. They wouldn't even dare let Cairo anywhere without a muzzle. But Donald Trump and Melania said, no, let Conan come out, take the muzzle off, it'll all be fine. But they were probably briefed beforehand, whatever you do not get too close to Conan. Extraordinary
But the
stuff.
other thing, too, is if you watch the whole press conference, you can see the handler missed the cue from Trump to come forward and say a few things about the dog. That's what the space was created for as well, and he must have misheard or got stage fright and just stayed in the back slightly awkwardly there. But by the way, just to ease any doubt on the issue, here is Donald Trump being terrifyingly cold, in Joan Walsh's terms, to dogs. I mean, so very, very cold. And really, if Walsh had just done a quick search of the internet, she would see how insane her own CNN theory is. But Rowan, there's another Trump-hating outlet, The Guardian, that thought that it had Trump on toast over this as well, because it called Conan he when the dog was a she. So there's your pronoun shame, Rowan. Maybe the dog should have introduced himself. Hi, Conan, these are my pronouns. But this controversy went on for hours until it was finally admitted that, in fact, Conan was indeed what Trump said, a he, because the clue obviously is in the name, Conan. Did you get the idea sometimes, Rowan, that journalists covering the White House are clinically insane?
Yeah, clinically insane, absolutely. Desperate to find anything, any angle to attack Trump on. And it just shows how obsessed and slightly warped you would have to be concerned about the dog's gender. You know, this is, as I say, once you start prioritising gender or anything to do with gender, it takes over. It takes over people's thinking. All they're thinking about, what's the gender of the dog? What's the gender of the dog? I saw a hilarious thing recently, Andrew, where someone admitted...
It's just helped kill the world's terrorist chief, and they're worrying about whether it's a he or a she, whether the pronouns are correct.
Exactly. Well, there was a hilarious thing where you had one of these Americans saying, oh, well, although there are 101 genders, we haven't found any evidence yet that there are more than 2 genders in the animal kingdom, which I thought summed it all up. There you go.
But so much informing that human beings are animals too. There you go.
Exactly.
That would throw a spanner in the works. Rowan Dean, thank you so much indeed for your time. Look forward to your show on Sunday.
Thank you very much, Andrew.